steering wheel. Somebody tell him to give it to me.
There's something loose between my legs.
I don't know. Let go!
I'm heavier than a freaking boat.
Nothing he's could say could make that any better.
Yeah, nobody. No more radio for the rest of the race.
I'm going home.
Hello and welcome to DRS FC, an F1 podcast by soccer nerds. I am a soccer nerd. My name is André Carlisle, and I am here with two other soccer nerds. I'm going to start with Eboni because it's been a minute. Eboni, how are you?
Great. A little hurt that Alpine is being targeted. Justice for Alpine, but you know what? It's fine.
I was going to say, it's been a minute ever since Alpine hit the bottom of the table. You've been kind of ducking the pod. I'm just saying, hey, I ain't throwing no accusations. I'm just saying, I'm just calling it how I see it.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
Donald Wine. Donald, how are you?
I'm good. My team is fine. I don't have a team yet. So I guess I'm Lewis / Ferrari. But the F1 movie, very good. Definitely recommend.
Yeah, absolutely. And shout out to you. Check out us on IG. Follow us on IG. There's a link in the show notes to do that. Donald posted a spoiler-free review. So if you're interested in the movie or want to know what it's about or anything like that, go check that out. Did a good job putting that together, and I appreciate it. I'm going to have to go see it. I've been trying to avoid spoilers from it as well, but I haven't been successful, and I've heard things that make me a little bit nervous and scared. And I'm not going to lie, I keep seeing Brad Pitt in a race suit, and I can't get there, y'all. I can't get there. The man is 900 years old. I can't get
I promise you, the way they set it up is pretty cool to bring you into, at least for a couple hours, to make it believable. So I'll just leave it there.
All right.
I mean, I got to go see it too. I have an IMAX, so I'm going to go see it in IMAX because that's what it was made for.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to go get comfortable at the Alamo and watch it there too. So
Nice.
I can't wait.
I love that. I did hear that like the action sequence, like the racing is really good. Like the way they shot that is like exceptional. And I don't have a concept of what that actually means. So I'm really excited to see it. Anyway,
apparently
this ain't a
Lewis
preview.
had a really big hand in like all of it. And like, so I'm really excited to see how it all comes to play together. I'm really excited.
I'm zipping my mouth. No more, because we're getting dangerously close to the spoiler part of the podcast. Not doing it for you.
I appreciate that. Yeah, but before we tempt Donald to give us any more information about the movie, let's get to our preview. We are previewing the Austria Grand Prix. It is held in Spielberg, Austria. It's called the Red Bull Ring. There's a big-ass Red Bull hanging outside around the track. So it's really unmistakable. I'll give you some little details about the track itself before we get into the history, what happened last year, and then we'll talk about the track in a little bit more depth and then get into our predictions and things we're going to watch. So this is a 4.31 kilometer circuit. It is 2.68 miles. It's pretty short, and it's actually got a lot of straights, which we'll talk about later. They will be doing 71 laps around this track. Quite a few laps because it is a fast one. Lap record set by Carlos Sainz in 2020. 1 minute, 5 seconds.
Jesus Christ.
105.619. So, okay. Donald, you want to give us some history about the track?
Yeah. So the track, at least the first Grand Prix at the track was in 1997. That is the one that was in this current format. And it was built over an airfield, which is why Red Bull was kind of able to take it and kind of make this what it wanted it to be. But the one thing that it is fast, very fast. In fact, you mentioned the lap speed of 65 seconds, essentially. Between 1963 and 1997, the FIA said it was too fast and it was too dangerous. So they removed the track from the calendar a couple of times. Last year, it was a sprint. This year is not a sprint. So they've done a lot of tinkering with how Austria fits into the grand scheme of things.
And for what happened last year, which there was a pretty infamous incident, Eboni, what happened last year?
Was this the year that Max and Lando crashed?
Sure was. Oh, and you know who benefited from that?
We forgot
Sneaky
about George.
Sneaky George.
It only took 3 minutes for us to mention George this time, so I think we're in the clear.
We're good.
Now he's finishing 18th this week, just for that.
We did it. We met our quota. No more. Okay. This was when, of course, like you said, George took advantage. So we had George, Oscar, and Sainz as our Grand Prix winners as our podium, I should say. Lewis in 4th, Max in 5th. And surprisingly, no DNFs. We've had a lot of those. Stroll is still on the screen on the circuit. So I'm okay with that. We made it out. Although we were going to talk about it in a second about some of my dislikes about this track. It's not it can be fun if everybody's adventurous, and it's just not that, because everybody considers it Max's home track, so they just kind of like let him by. But we'll talk about that in a second. But this was that race.
Yeah, it was a pretty big incident, because this was like when Max was really starting to feel the pressure from Lando, and it was them coming together, and Lando actually having the car to be able to challenge Max, and Max not really liking it. He actually picked up 2 penalty points for his incident against Lando last season, and as we know, if that happens again, he will pick up a race ban because he's only 1 point away.
Is this the one with their like Lando kept the racing line and Max lunged in, and they finally penalized Max for doing that dangerous shit?
It is.
Yeah.
And honestly, when you were building it up and trying to ask which one it was, I was just gonna say yes, because it could have been that describes all of them.
Right. Yeah.
But yes, that was it. That was it.
Right.
And we got to see Max lose it a little bit, get those penalty points. Now, unfortunately, he didn't end up finishing too far behind. He was able to keep his car on track, so he finished 5th and Lando finished last, and so that was also a reason why Max did what he did, because he was being chased, and he knew, if I can stay in the points, or if we both don't get points, then I still maintain my advantage. So he used that a little bit to his benefit.
I will say also this, as I mentioned at the top, this was a sprint race last year, and Max did get points by winning the sprint. So, Red Bull always loves to win this race. It's their home track. He'll have a lot of fans there this weekend. And so at least last year he was able to make the fans happy in that regard, but there is no sprint this year. I'm not quite sure why they determined not to have the sprint here, but that means that it just increases the pressure on Red Bull, given the issues they've had this year, to perform at this track.
Yeah, and I also think Max has won at this track. If it's not the most, it's tied for the most. I think he has 5 wins in his career at this track, which is kind of outrageous. So yeah, expect Max, if the car is halfway decent, which it has been, expect him to be fighting up there. Okay, let's talk about the track, because we brought it up a few times. We've said it's a very short lap. Not only is it short in terms of distance, it's short in terms of quickness, because there's 3 straights that all have DRS. And it's basically back to back to back. So you have like the back straight, the main straight, and then the straight leading into what they call turn 3. Now, if you look at the track layout,
it's like you sneezed and accidentally veered, and that was a turn. Like,
turn 2 is even worse.
That's turn 2.
Yeah, turn 2 is just like Is it like what is it? You like sway the car, and they're like, oh, you curved.
Yeah, they call that a turn.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they say there's 10 turns in this track. There are not. There are 9.
Turn 5. Same thing. Like, you blink too hard, your car
5
moves,
I could see. 5 I can see, just because you are having to rotate, and you do keep it rotated, the steering wheel rotated, but you do have to rotate it a bit and line it up for the next turn. So I to me, it's not a corner. It is a turn, but that turn, quote unquote, turn 2, I'm not happy.
I will note that between turns 3 and 4, there is a curve that is more curvier than the one that they actually called turn 2, but it's not a curve. So I'm just saying.
Very, very true. Yeah. Well, honestly, that's funny you mentioned that, because when I was, paying attention to this track and all the characteristics, previous years, I was like, oh, they must be talking about that little kink before, uphill and then that turn. They're like, no, it's the one on the main straight. And I was like, what one on the main straight?
If you close your eyes and squint really hard, you can sort of see the turn, and that's what you have to interpret it.
It's just silliness. But I will say, I do, and Eboni, I want your thoughts on the track overall, because one turn that I do think is interesting and does create a lot of chaos, especially when you have cars that are bunched together, is that we're going to call it turn 2. But it's uphill, basically turning at a 90-degree angle. That is a really tight turn. It is probably one of the tightest turns on the entire circuit for F1. You have the hairpin at Monaco. You have a couple others. There's a slow one in Canada as well. But this is such a sharp turn and such a drastic, like basically stop, rotate the car, then hit the gas. It is really, really tight, and you can do some very interesting racing around there as well. So I do kind of like that. But apart from that, Eboni, your thoughts on the track?
Like I said, it's a very interesting track because it is so small. You kind of get to see everything that happens around the track, even from the grandstands, is from what I've heard. But it's also a race where it's Red Bull's race. So people tend to give more grace to Red Bull drivers. Let's not even joke like that. They give more grace to Max. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. And he tends it can be a boring race if they continue to do that. But I think because so many more people are in the hunt for the constructors, he's not going to get that, and he's going to get frustrated. So that's what will make this a like instead of a con for me.
I think the other thing, and I'm sure we'll talk about this later, is that you mentioned this track and everything has been geared around Max. This is the first year in a long time that Max does not have somebody either on Red Bull or Racing Bulls that is going to be in that top three with him, or at least expected to be. And so it'll be interesting to see how Yuki handles this first time as a Red Bull top driver at this track, because again, the pressure's on.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of interesting things that could happen. There's a lot of storylines. I mean, just given what we've seen, I think when George won, we had how many Grand Prix winners did that make it? And that was the first one outside of a McLaren being at the top as well, outside of Max or McLaren. So that was impressive to see, and it would be nice to see Ferrari get in the mix. But we'll talk about them later. Deepti is not here, but I will honor her by getting into some hashtag tire talk, spelled with a Y, naturally. They are sticking with the same range of tires that they had last season, which is not the softest, is the step up from the softest. So C3, C4, and C5. So not the C6. But as we've seen this year, the tires, even though they were the same, like the C3 tire from last year, isn't necessarily the C3 tire from this year in terms of how it's constructed. So the tires are holding on together much more frequently, and they're becoming a little bit more robust, is what we've seen so far this season. However, y'all, I don't know how much y'all know about the weather in Austria. I know the weather here is really hot.
Yeah.
Apparently, Austria is having the same thing. They're having quite a bit of a heat wave. I heard that it's going to be a lot hotter than usual at this race. Usually it's rainy there, but it seems like it's going to be quite a hot one.
3-stop race?
Oh, 3. I was going to say we'll be doing good if we get 2.
Okay, now look. You the three of us have been in 115 degree heat indexes the past couple of days. How hot are we talking here? Are we talking? I mean, it's Austria. They like to really take things to the max. Are we talking like 75 degree heat here? Or are we actually talking an actual heat wave like we're experiencing on the East Coast here?
Okay, I'm glad you asked because it gave me time to look this up. Okay, so AccuWeather. Blame AccuWeather for this, not me. All right. This is what I'm looking at right now in terms of the temperature in Spielberg, Austria. Friday, a little bit of rain, 82 degrees. Saturday, 85 degrees. Sunday, 87 degrees.
Okay. All right. We're in the ballpark here. I'll give him a pass for that. 87, especially 87 sitting out there all day. In the stands, metal stands, okay.
No sunscreen. That's crazy.
Yeah, there's probably not an ounce of sunscreen in the entire country of Austria right now. So,
yeah, it's going to be an interesting race, especially for tires and who can hold on to them, because that heat is unusual at this track. And I think the thing that helped Mercedes in Canada was that the straights allowed them to cool their tires quite a bit. And when they had the turns are more chicanes. That's kind of how the Canada track is built. It's a lot hotter in Austria, or forecasted to be a lot hotter in Austria than it was in Montreal in Canada. They also have a lot of straights that can help cool the tires. But as we mentioned, it's a short lap. So and you're doing pretty drastic turns. You're doing pretty slow turns as well. So the ability to maintain their tires is going to be interesting. We're gonna know a lot more about Mercedes and the upgrades and the improvements they've made with this track and the way they are able to perform, especially after looking so good at Canada. All right, let's take a break. Let's get into what to watch because we wrote in a lot of things, and I'm excited to talk about each one. Okay, we're back. Here's the thing. There's a lot to talk about because F1 has been. There's kind of been some people who built up the season so much that now, like, they're like, oh, it's not really giving us what we thought it was going to give us. But I think you look at it, and yeah, McLaren are still dominating, but not by the margins that we were seeing. Even early this season. We're seeing there was a moment in Canada where I think the top 5 cars were all on that main straight to the start finish. That was good. Normally you see like George will come in third and he's like 15 or 20 seconds behind the race winner. We're not seeing that so much in these recent races. And so it's been really, really fun. So Donald, your thing to watch.
We're in the Europe part of the season now. There's going to be a nice 3-week window of races here. And this is where every team has the entire year, anytime something bad happens, they're like, oh, well, we're saving for the year part of the schedule. We're saving for Europe. We're here now. So what teams have made the move? And I think this ties into a lot of the things that you guys are about to say. So I won't elaborate on, but like, will Ferrari make these updates that we've been hearing about? Will, driver changes happen? Will silly season begin for next year? Will, some of these things, the Red Bull quirks, are they going to work themselves out? Will Mercedes have a fix for their, not just their tire issue, but their engine and power unit issues that have plagued every team on the grid that has a Mercedes engine? These are all the questions that we may not get full answers to, but we're going to see who was serious about this break. We're going to, if it was all fun and games over the last, few weeks in Canada and New York for the movie premiere, Monaco, all these things that they have said, oh, we're just waiting a few more weeks and we're going to implement all this stuff. This is the time to do it. And so I'm interested to see who makes a move in the positive and who also fails to make a move and by default regresses a bit.
Yeah, that's a good one because I do think, you mentioned all the reasons why teams have kind of held off. They want to come back to Europe and kind of, do their updates and try to figure things out, because if you kind of break something, then you have to come up with something and you have to ship it around the world. So now most teams are based in Europe or close to it. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what they're able to do. But also 2026.
Yeah.
We've already heard Williams and I think Ferrari are only using their wind tunnels for the 2026 car. They're not putting the 2025 car in there anymore. Now they can still do simulator work and all that kind of stuff. So they're not completely done developing on their current platform of their cars, but they are done sticking that car in the wind tunnel and trying to solve problems. So that's also going to be a factor, I think. This is going to be interesting.
That's crazy.
I think it's early.
Yeah, we knew it was going to happen at some point.
Yeah,
we knew it was going to happen, especially with some of the bottom teams. They're like, okay, well, we're not getting anything out of this, so we might as well just start prepping for 2026. But to tell a driver, we're done developing your car, that's crazy.
I know we've been talking about it all year, and we said there's going to be a point that this is going to happen, but still it feels too early. I would think it makes more sense. You come back and after this break in July, they have the couple races, and then you go, okay, we're like more than halfway through the season. Where Williams, or not Williams, but like Aston Martin's looking up and saying we're 500 points out of first place, and we still have Lance Stroll on the team. Like abandon ship, right? That's the time. But doing it when you have 3 more races, again, the 3 races that every team on the grid at one point has said these are the 3 that you're gonna see the improvement. You're gonna see this car, make a difference. For them to start giving up now feels way too early, despite the fact that they've laid these breadcrumbs to make us believe that this is going to happen in the first place.
I will say the team that I am surprised was Williams, because they actually made that announcement when they were having their best results of the season. Like all of a sudden they were finishing like P5 and P6 and P7, and it was like, whoa, okay, Williams is going to be on a podium soon. And they're like, guys, just kidding. Like we've done what we're going to do with the car. We'll do some minor things throughout. Like we're not completely done developing things on the car, but we're done trying to like stick this car in a wind tunnel and improve it as much, which on one hand, I understand. But on the other hand, I'm like, you're Williams and you ain't been good for a long time. And you start to see that. I mean, it's got to be tough to see those results happen and to not want to keep pushing to make them better. So I hope that in 2026, they can pick up where they left off. But I'm a little nervous because if they happen to get that regulation wrong, that regulation set wrong, and they have to start over, they're probably going to be a little upset that they didn't ride this, put a little bit more time, resources, and effort into figuring out how to make this car a podium contender, a legit podium contender, when they had the opportunity to. So this is going to be interesting. Eboni, your thing to watch.
My thing to watch is can Yuki make a lasting impression on the team home circuit? He raced really well to get into that seat to switch out with Lawson, but he hasn't done much since getting in that seat. Now that is also it's the curse of that second seat. We all know it. But I was expecting something for all the talking that happens in that second seat from everyone, not just Yuki, but Lawson, Ricardo, Checo. There's not a lot of results. The only one that really truly did something was Checo. And now I want to see Yuki kind of like step up and be that help that Max is sort of looking for. Not too much, because fuck Red Bull. But I want to see him perform to the best of his ability and actually show that it was worth it. I mean, we know he's got the seat for the rest of the year. That was already established. But now you're driving for next year. And so far, you have not taken that seat to the next level. If anything, Hadjar has shown great improvement to take that seat if they wanted to. So I'm hoping that this is the time for Yuki to like truly shine in front of all the home fans and show that he's a contender for 2026 in that second seat.
Yeah, this is the thing. When they moved Yuki, we said it time and time again on this podcast. Don't answer that phone call, Yuki. Keep killing it at Racing Bulls. That's all you need to do, because that second seat is cursed. And now we know it's more so the design of the car, what they want the car to be able to do to maximize Max's driving style, and it does not work for anybody else. So there's been a lot of Checo apology hours happening on other podcasts, and we might have to do our own because our bad. But it's been rough seeing Yuki like this, because if you give him a decent car, he's scrappy, he's fun, he's got a little hot-headed on the radio calls too. Like he'll get in there and mix things up. He may spin a time or two in practice, but he's fast, and he's fast, and he's really good when he has a decent car. But this car just seems like an absolute monster to contend with, and he would not be the first. It doesn't seem like he's going to be the last to struggle with it.
We probably owe Checo an apology. We've been apologizing to Yuki all season because we told him that he shouldn't do it. I guess Alex Albon and Danny Rick probably also deserve apologies. Do we need to rename the Gloomy Boy Award the Red Bull Second Seat Award? Because that's what it feels like.
Wait, Donald, I think we did rename it. I think it's the Lance Strulovich.
Yeah. That actually was much better anyway. So
it's true. Donald, do you have any thoughts on Yuki and his ability? Do you think he'll be able to make an impression? I mean, Eboni says he needs to. Do you think he will?
No. It's not his fault. And I hate to be blunt with that, but Red Bull doesn't have impressions. They have wins. That's all they care about on this particular track. And by default, they care about that in when they go to Zandvoort for the Dutch Grand Prix. Those are the two home tracks they have. They want wins there. They don't care about anything else. They're not going to do a jolly, you got P10. They want the impression is that he has to place in the top 5, and that is completely unfair to Yuki Tsunoda because that's not what that car is built to do. So, like everyone on our pod, I hope that he does well. I just don't think that doing well is going to be enough to satisfy Red Bull. Maybe the fans will be cool with it, but the Red Bull brass does not want embarrassment. And they got embarrassment last year in the actual race in the form of Max crashing. They don't want a second one, and they don't want it to come from either seat. They know Max will probably contend, but for him to contend on this track as well, you need the second seat to do well. And that's how he won last year in the sprint. He had Checo kind of holding off people even down in 7th and 8th place. Yuki has to get into that ballpark to really, affect the rest of the racing lineup. I don't know if the car has the chops to do it. I know that he has the gumption to do it, and that's, we could use other words, but I know he has the fortitude to try to do it, but that car has limits, and he knows those limits. And I think Red Bull does too, but that doesn't stop them from going out in the media and saying we had a bad day if he performs less than they want.
Yeah, you mentioned that they don't want to be embarrassed, and to be honest, I think they have been embarrassed because I think they've done a lot to pin the underperformance of that second seat on individual drivers, and now we all see it's not the drivers. Mm-hmm. We all see that now. It can't be every single one of those drivers. At some point, you have to do the thing. Am I the problem? It's me, right? You have to look in the mirror and say it's my problem, and that's what they're having to do, and everybody sees it. And I'm concerned about it affecting the rest of Yuki's career. It shouldn't, but I am concerned because it's hard for, just because people run a business and make decisions and are in charge of like a lot of money, don't mean they're necessarily smart. And so you could just see somebody who sees Yuki struggling to get points in a Red Bull and be like, "Ooh, we can't have him as a driver," without adding in all the other context. And that's what I'm worrying about a little bit and also there aren't that many seats that are going to be available, even with new teams joining the grid soon.
I might be naive in this, but I don't think right now, this is June 20, late June. I don't think that this will affect his career, because if you think about that second seat at Red Bull, we know all the names of all the guys who were in that seat. There was no one that was like, who was that guy that was with Max in like 27? We don't have that. We know who the guys are because they went on to other teams and had success, varying levels of success. I think that's going to happen to Yuki as well. We may forget Liam Lawson's name, right? Or forget that he was in that car for 2 weeks. But I also think that Red Bull understands that they may have to address this thing. It's just going to be next week because they can't do it this week. This is their home race. And that's just, again, the pressure that adds to Yuki, to Max, to Red Bull as a whole, from Helmut and Christian all the way down to the Racing Bulls team. They're not exempt from this. So Liam and Isaac also have to perform too to show this. And I think also with Yuki, he has the luxury of all these musical rookies that we've been seeing all year, and multiple teams, including his own. So there's not I think there's still runway for him to be successful. And I think all of us agree that it's not going to be with Red Bull. So just go ahead and, find that other team so we can move on and watch you thrive.
Yeah, Cadillac, I'm begging. We saw Bottas drop the reel. We're talking about the Cadillac seat. Give me Valtteri and Yuki on the same team. I need it.
That'd be
fun. That'd be fun.
It would.
I don't know about racing, but that'd be fun.
It would. It'd be stay tuned to their social channels if that happens. It's going to be amazing. Also, I completely forgot Liam Lawson only lasted 2 weeks.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we still know him. We still know his name.
Oh my God.
But we forget. I said we still know his name. That can change.
No, I'm with you. I'm just saying, like, the forgetting his name process might start very soon because of what they did with Arvid Lindblad, getting him an exemption.
Right.
So
that's why I'm saying
this will be
late
very
June. We still know his name. Yeah. Early July, we're gonna be like, who's that guy?
Yeah,
the guy was there for a couple weeks.
We'll see in August. That kid, he was from I think it's from New Zealand, right? He's
what's
that
my
one
man's
kid.
name? What's my man? Oh, Liam. Yeah, we hardly knew you.
Yeah, brutal. All right. My thing to watch is related to kind of what you talked about, Donald. Who's going to make a move? Mine is Ferrari's updates. Now, I heard some disturbing information in trying to do some research for this pod. Ferrari is finally bringing an update, reportedly, to Austria. They're bringing their new floor, which is something that they've needed to do. Now, here's the concern. The floor alone ain't gonna do shit, is what they've said. They're like, what you actually need is the other components on the car to work with the floor, but they're only bringing the floor. It's the most Ferrari shit ever. We've been waiting for an update to the car. They finally bring one, and they're like, well, this ain't exactly gonna solve everything. We're gonna wait until servicing before we actually bring the suspension that's gonna work with the floor. Man,
we got we asked for a update, and we got a update, not the update. So.
They said you get one. You get
just
one.
you want the flow, the flow. We
monkey's paw shit ever. I'm so mad at their team. I don't know why they're like this, but
It hurts.
Lewis Hamilton
it?
did not produce F1 the movie for this.
I know, right? It's just, I will say, and yes, this is just so everybody listening to me knows, this is me fully snorting all the hopium on my desk. This is it. But remember, the tiny upgrade that Mercedes introduced to Canada had them double podium, right? I'm hoping that Ferrari are wrong and that this floor update allows the car to give the feedback and to settle the back end. That's been the problem. It's just really slidey on the back end to settle that so that Charles and Lewis can drive the car cleanly around the track. Is that a lot of hopium? Yes. Because the actual problem is the suspension. Whatever. Whatever, man. It's Ferrari. I don't know. I just don't know. I just don't know. They've broken me already.
That's where you ended up.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I'm broken.
So Ebony, we lost André.
Yeah, it's a wrap. I do. All right. I'm gonna move on before I completely quit. Be like, what is F1? What is the meaning? Yeah, exactly. I do want us to talk about Lando versus Oscar before we move on to our predictions, because I do think this has been a key thing. We saw it in Canada. Everybody said and everybody knew, including people at McLaren, knew they were going to come together on track at some point. We thought it'd be a win, but it was for fourth place. And Lando tried a move that was never on, ruined his race. Oscar kept on pushing because the move was so bad that Lando just destroyed his own wing in his own race. So the question for me is, how does this impact McLaren's view of both of their drivers? Does this really does this erode some of the trust that they've had in Lando? And therefore, they're going to give more of those papaya rules to make sure that Oscar is treated as the number one driver this time, because their whole problem last year was not doing it soon enough to give Lando all the points he would need to chase down Max. Given what they just saw from Lando, how do you think they're going to approach this? Going to start with Ebony.
I don't think that McLaren still makes a choice because they don't want to. Their argument's going to be, we still have two great drivers that just was battling. I'm like, well, did you give them team orders to not do that so that you can get the maximum points? And they're going to be like, but constructors is our main goal. So I think what's going to happen is that both drivers are going to be like, well, I was in the lead. I'm still in the lead. I should be number one. And then Lando's going to go, I should be in the lead. I should be number one. So I'm going to keep attacking. And they're going to come together again. I have no doubts about that. And McLaren is still going to fumble because they don't know how to make a choice. And if you let Zach continue to not make a choice, you're just giving Max the championship. And then you're giving potentially Mercedes, the constructors, because you're eventually going to have one car getting points and one car not every week. So
yeah, I do think their constructors lead is probably pretty safe at the moment, but if they do this for multiple races, then yeah, you're right. A double podium and McLaren taking one or both of their drivers out could change things, or at least make things interesting. Donald, what do you think?
I think if you just got to look at the standings for both the constructors and the drivers. You guys said it. The constructors, they're up by 175 points. There's no pressure for them to identify a one or two. The problem is both drivers got to feel like they're number one because they're 1 and 2 in the drivers' championship. And if one of them becomes the second driver and has to defer to the other, Max will catch them. And neither wants Max to catch them individually. So they're racing as if they both want that constructors and they're both going to go for it because there's no pressure on McLaren to develop a team strategy for another constructor team that's coming up behind them. They have padding over Ferrari. So is it Ferrari or is it Mercedes? It's Mercedes.
Ferrari's second.
Ferrari is still second?
No, Mercedes.
Or did the double podium change?
Mercedes is second with 199.
Okay.
Ferrari with 183 after Montreal. But
Gotcha.
I think, again, those two teams, aren't close enough to challenge right now the constructors for McLaren to be like, hey, no more of this racing between each other. Everybody, run their race and we'll make the decisions. They're just going to let them have at it until that becomes pressure filled. And if it doesn't, then we're going to have this all year. The problem is individually, these drivers don't know how to get out of each other's way because they're both fighting for the same thing. And I get it from an individual standpoint, but McLaren has to be the adult in the room that says, okay, you are 1, you are 2 this week. And it could be week by week right now until they figure it out. But they need to have you are 1, you are 2, this track is designed, or whoever wins it in qualifying, you're the number 1, like kind of earn it on the track type deal. That's all they can do right now. But yeah, there's no pressure for them to change what they're doing.
Yeah, to be honest, I kind of think that we're at the risk of McLaren not ever having to make a decision because I think Lando could potentially, now he'll never say this, but through his actions and the way that he's taken L's in his battles against Oscar, he's kind of just becoming a natural number 2. Like he's making mistakes in qualifying. Oscar is beating him in qualifying. Oscar has a lot more race wins than he does. Oscar is leading the championship where Lando said even before the season started, like, hey, next season, that title is mine. Like I'm going for it. We haven't seen that. I think especially if he can't pass Oscar cleanly on track when they have the same machinery and they're wheel to wheel, then he's the number 2 driver. That's it.
But like those other updates that we've been hearing about for months, that's going to be something that comes during the summer break. That's going to be something where when silly seasons really, when they start talking about who, one of them might be leaving, or one of them might be having, like a Red Bull, spicy. Yeah, Red Bull chirping in their ear, or Cadillac or Audi chirping in their ear. Once that happens, then they'll start trying to make a decision. But we're still a month away from that, so I don't see them doing it this week for sure. I see them again trying to figure out. You both go out there and race and see what happens. But if they have another mess up where both of them are out, so far, all their mess ups have only led to one of them losing position or getting out of the race. If both of them take an L on the same thing, that's when they may have the team meeting.
Yeah, and if it's Lando's fault again, clearly his fault, that's going to be another problem. Then they're just going to be like, okay, we can't trust you to race your teammate, so we're going to have to prioritize him because he's got more points than you, and he's the cleaner driver. So yeah, that's what I'm a little bit worried about for Lando. I think he's got to bounce back pretty seriously in this race. And I also think it would be great if he could either out-qualify Oscar, end up higher than him on the grid, or if he can pass him in a clean pass on track. That's something that he needs. He needs one of those two things to happen to get his confidence back in his battle with his teammate. Okay, let's take a break and get into our predictions. Yeah, here we go. Prediction time. I love it. I love doing predictions because we don't know shit, but we talk like we know shit. So that's fun. It's great. Eboni,
Hi.
Podium prediction. First, second, third.
Ready. Podium. Max at 1. Charles Leclerc at 2. And Oscar at 3 and none for Lando. Bye.
Okay, perfect. I also see Kyle. He was supposed to join us, but couldn't. But he did drop in some podium predictions. He's got Max winning as well. and he's got it flipped for you. He's got Oscar second, and he's got Charles third. So we have a couple people believing in Ferrari. Donald, your podium, do you also believe in Ferrari?
I do. I have Max winning, so I don't believe him that much. I just think he's, possible to defend on his own track. I have Charles going second, and I have Lewis going third. Lewis getting his first podium. I think the F1 movie premiere boost. He's getting that. Get that bump.
Movie bump.
Yeah.
We're doing box office bumps.
He's going to hear the box office numbers on Sunday morning. He's going to be like, going to count how much money that he just made, and then he's going to take it out on the grid.
Okay. I hope you're right. I've never heard of a box office bump before, but honestly, we've never had a driver produce a movie before. So
if it happens, we're going to have to get T-shirts. Say like, I called it, or it was like my ticket looks like a ticket thing that says I bought that.
Okay. Yes, I see the vision. Yeah. I see the vision. Also, stay tuned for the summer break. We are still discussing merch, and hopefully we get to drop that soon. And if box office bump becomes a thing, you may see that pop up in the store. I've got Oscar winning. That's because I think this is a track that McLaren would do well. If it's hot, their tire advantage will come into play again. So I think they're going to do very well. And when McLaren does well this season, that typically means it's Oscar who's doing the better of the two. So I've got him winning. I've got Max second, and I've got Lando third. Okay, Eboni, here we go. Mm-hmm. We have our constructor scrap. And we have a rules. You cannot choose the team that already has the most points, which would be McLaren. And you cannot choose the team that already has the lowest points. Mm-hmm. That would be Alpine. Mm-hmm. Welcome back, Eboni, and your belief in Alpine.
My belief in Alpine, one day I will discuss why I chose Alpine. It'll have to be me and Kyle on a podcast.
You might have to do that soon.
It'll be me and Kyle finally on a podcast, and we will talk about it all.
All right, that's fine. I'm looking forward to it. I appreciate the tease because I am also curious. I'm just sad that this tattoo looks like it's already a thing that's not going to happen, and that's sad. Actually, about a month into the season, it became obvious that was not going to happen, which is even sadder. But Eboni, your predictions for most points and least points for which teams?
So, I know I forgot about George, but I think Mercedes comes away with the most points, and the least amount of points is going to be Kick Sauber. I do love what Hulk is doing. I just don't think his counterpart is up to the challenge as well. So,
ooh, brutal. I don't know if I can handle Bortoletto slander.
I love me some Bortoletto, but it's just.
I hear you, but I also have a question for you because you have Mercedes with the most points, and you have Charles getting the second step on the podium. What do you have happening to Lewis?
I have Lewis down in like P8.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, I love Lewis, but him and Ferrari are just not working right now. I do see him getting points, but it's just not. It hurts my soul. I hope I'm wrong. I hope the box office bump is 100% effective, and we are talking about a double podium. Donald's right. We are riding off into glory for the next one, but it hurts my heart.
I understand. I feel you. I hope so too. The hopium is definitely plentiful on this podcast. Donald, most and least points.
First off, I'm looking forward to the reunion show at the end of this season where Eboni and Kyle finally face each other. That'll be fun.
Right.
Obviously, you can tell by my top three, but the most points I have is Ferrari. I think they, again, box office bump. The least, I know I talked about it, how they have to perform, but I feel like the surprise in this is that Racing Bulls is going to be the team with the least points.
Yeah, that was rough. Remember last pod when I thought I was going to say I was going to implicate y'all. It was me. I am the one who tried to give Hadjar a little bit of spotlight, and then he had his worst finish of the season. My bad. That might happen again. Kyle also has belief in Ferrari. He's got them for the most points, and least points he has Williams.
I can see that. I understand.
Do you?
Albon is not working. Like, love the man. Like
It's
he's
true. He's been struggling.
Carlos Sainz for a bit as well. Like, he has his moments of glory, but there's just something wrong with them, like being able to finish. Like, they'll start strong. You'll see him in P6.
It's so
You're
weird
like,
too,
when did you
because
get
they
there?
were doing so well.
Yeah. And then the race ends, and you're like,
it is an
P12?
interesting one.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It is an interesting one. So very, very well could be. Okay. My prediction, I've got Mercedes with the most points, and least points, I've got Aston Martin.
Oh, damn, I forgot
Max
Lance
Filovich.
Stroll still drives. Damn.
That's really all I got to say. Yeah, exactly. That's it. Okay, let's predict our Zoomy and Gloomy boys. Again, Zoomy boy is basically who's going to have a really good weekend. Not necessarily win the race, but just have a good weekend, good results, good showing for whatever relative to their car and expectations, all of that. So Kyle has Yuki, Zoomy boy. So he's looking at Yuki to actually show something good at Red Bull's home Grand Prix. I like that. Gloomy boy, he's got Lance Strulovich. So there you go. Ebony, your predicted Zoomy boy and Gloomy boy.
My Zoomy boy is Hajar. I think he has a really good race. Just because he's having a lot of fun racing right now, it looks like, and he's been one of the best rookies outside of Kimi on the circuit this year. So I'm going to go with Hajar. And then to flip to the other side of Gloomy, I'm going to also flip to the other side of Red Bull, and I'm going to say Yuki. Remember that question when I asked if Yuki was going to impress? The answer is no. Not at all. The expectations are unrealistic, and he doesn't and like you said, he's fast, and he's got the gumption to think that he can do it. I just don't think he has the full mental fortitude to actually go attack the way they want him to, and it's just going to be a disaster. So,
well, the mental fortitude or the car, because it's not, to
too.
me, it's not like, it's like Yuki can drive fast. We know that. It's just that car is the problem.
I think
only one person on the planet can drive that car to a podium, and it's Max.
I think my biggest issue is that, we know it's the car, but he's getting more frustrated as the season goes on, and he knows they're not going to make the changes. And it's like, I think it's just like rattling him. It's nothing about the situation is good. But I think it just comes to a boiling point at their home circuit, and it just looks bad for everyone involved. So
yeah, no, that part is fair, because I do feel like he is an emotional driver, and he is struggling to get the results, and he knows he can't really turn it around. It's a car problem, but he's the one suffering the results every race, and that's got to be tough. So, my guy, Donald, Zoomy and Gloomy.
Box office bump, y'all. I'm just throwing everything in. Lewis Hamilton is my Zoomy boy. And Gloomy boy, I hate to say it, but it's going to be Bortoletto. I just don't think he's got the juice for this one.
This Bortoletto slander will not stand. That's why I have him as my predicted Zoomy boy. We've seen Nico Hülkenberg surprise people. We've seen them surprise people getting points, getting up there, finishing in the top 10. We saw him zoom past Lewis in a Ferrari. That hurt my soul, but it happened. I think Bortoletto now gets a chance to get comfortable with the new updates on the car, learn from Hulk. He's going to be there too. I'm seeing points for Bortoletto. Y'all ain't going to slander my guy. All right? Not having it.
Just did.
Going Bortoletto, Zoomy boy.
I'm so sorry.
And my predicted Gloomy boy is Franco Colapinto, because this could be the last race that we see from him.
Is it though? They're just going to rotate.
Could be. He got a 5-race contract. This will be race number 5.
Playing musical chairs with F1 cars. They're just going to sub them out. It's like basketball. That this is the second 5 minutes of the second quarter, and then at halftime they're going to switch back in. Who was there?
You forgot him already, Jack.
Doohan. Yeah, my bad, Jack. He's going to come back in. He was there. He was there quicker than almost as much as Liam was at Red Bull. I mean,
Damn.
Listen,
Okay.
they also have a dude. They also
Okay.
have Paul Aaron as well in their academy. They could get him in there. So just saying, like Colapinto, he had his best result in Canada, but if you only got a 5-race contract, is one race enough to extend that?
January camp ass team. What are you talking about here?
Not too much now.
It is
Not too
rough. Okay.
Oh, you're here. My bad, Ebony. We talk about LP.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Let me tell you. Let me tell y'all, everybody, when to watch what. You got some early ones because, again, we are back in Europe, which means the times are a little bit rough for you here on the East Coast and certainly on the West Coast for some of these. Free Practice 1 is Friday at 7:25 a.m. That's on ESPN2 and ESPN Deportes. Free Practice 2 is 10:55 a.m. These are Eastern time, by the way. ESPN2, ESPN Deportes. Free Practice 3, 6:25 a.m. ESPN2, ESPN Deportes. Yowzers. Grand Prix qualifying is Saturday, 9:55 a.m. That's so much better. ESPN2 on that one. And the Grand Prix is 8:55 a.m. ESPN, the main ESPN channel, and ESPN Deportes. You got 2 replays Sunday, 7 p.m. ESPN News, 11 p.m. ESPN2. That's it. That's our preview. We'll be back to review the race once it's over. Until then, for Ebony and Donald, I'm Andre. Vroom, vroom.
Vroom, vroom.
Vroom, vroom.